to smashing the party. This is your host, Nate Baumberger.
Look, this is a test. I'm just testing to see if I can reproduce the problem with my camera. So this one is not going to be a rant, although if you listen to my last rant, I did get fiery, and I'm probably going to have to re-edit that and put that audio somewhere because it was pretty dope. So right now, if you're on YouTube watching me stream, this is just a test. I want to figure out how this thing or why it keeps on failing. So I'm going to try a couple things. I don't care if I'm doing it live. I can always delete videos. Maybe the thumbs is the thumbs up. Sometimes this thing freezes when you do emojis. All right, whatever. So I'm in the dark horse now. I got off on a tangent at the last one, and so I'm not sure if anybody heard it, but I went off on local politicians that have been quiet. I think that there's a lot of people in the GOP that are complicit to the craziness that's happening. And I think since Pennsylvania is going to become a hot spot, it's important that we have strong, courageous leaders that aren't so consumed with the addiction to power and prestige that they'll take a stand and speak up. And so I kind of went off script a little bit. I had no script, but I went off script and laid into the cowards that we know as our representatives here, including Scott Martin, Lloyd Smucker, Ryan Ahmet, all those folks that were part of the steal in 2020 that sit back and watch as Donald Trump dismantles the fabric of our country with the rhetoric that he's using that really hammers home the us versus they and specifically puts a target on immigrants. It's the oldest playbook. It's the oldest play in the playbook. It's what authoritarians, dictators, demagogues use to strike fear in you. The only motivating factor they have is to scare the shit out of you so that you're scared and that you'll vote for them. That's how bad they want power. That's how devoid of policy they are. They can't run on their policies. Oh, they can run on their policies. No, they can't. You take away the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, there's nothing. They've got no plan for healthcare. They've got concepts of a plan. They've got no idea or consistent foreign policy. They'd like to throw away all our alliances that we worked hard for in World War II that help protect us from the bullshit that Putin's trying to pull. In fact, most of them are Putin friends. They visited Putin in 2018. Senator Kennedy was over there filleting Putin, gave him a letter and shit, gave him flowers. They were all over there on a mission to see what it's like when you have a fucking gangster running a country and they want. So loyalty is certainly in there, which is what Donald Trump thinks he is. He thinks that's gangster. Oh, everyone's loyal to me. That's not gangster. There's gangsters honor. There's honor. I'm not suggesting gangsters are good. I'm just saying that gangsters are a peg above Donald Trump because at least they have some rules to live by, kind of like Dexter. If you watch that film where, yeah, I'm pulling out Dexter. He can talk about Hannibal Lecter. I'll talk about Dexter. Dexter had rules and he lived by a code and he was a serial killer, but he only killed people that deserved it, or so the show goes. So at least he had a moral code that he lived by that his dad taught him. He didn't have any empathy, but he learned something. The GOP. Let me see if I can get. I wanted to put some articles up to talk about the rhetoric and why it's so damaging, and also talk about the flip-flopping. It's not flip-flopping, but more the we'll just call it, for lack of a better term, code switching. Code switching is when black people in certain groups pick up a different accent or act a certain way depending on whether they're around white people or black people. It's called code switching. Well, they've mastered this in a political sense where they've essentially become a chameleon depending on who they're talking to. Now, politicians always do that, but what they're doing is blatant switching of their topic, going from, oh, I'm pro-life to I'm pro-life up until 6 weeks or whatever, and they're changing their tune on IVF depending on who they're talking to. And that doesn't even touch on the immigration rhetoric that they're spewing day in and day out and repeating over and over and over. Meanwhile, JD Vance is home to his Indian wife who may or may not give a fuck about this shit, but I can't imagine her entire family is on board with this kind of discussion. Maybe he doesn't care. I know in his book, Hillbilly Effigy, that he was it Hillbilly Elegy or Hillbilly Effigy? I don't know. Whichever one it is, he talked about the fact that he was gay at one point and he decided that he wasn't at some point and do all this stuff. So maybe he doesn't really care about how his wife feels. I don't know. I know that maybe she's his beard. I don't know. And I'm not going to talk about, I don't give a fuck if he's gay. I just think it's weird for him to bash people of color and bash immigrants when his wife looks the way she does, because the MAGA people don't separate the Haitian from the Indian, from the black, from the other. They're all the same to them. And so what he's saying, maybe unbeknownst to him, even with his Ivy League degree and all his Ivy League studying, he doesn't understand that what he's saying will reflect and ripple through all the communities, not just Haitians, not just Springfield, but every community feels that brunt of otherness that he's trying to pitch. And so in my first rant that was done in the little mobile version of it, I really went off at the end because it doesn't make sense to me why you would have the ability to make change and take all the time to run and go through all that pain of getting elected and then not say something when the moment's there. This is your moment. Look at Adam Kinzinger. He went out there and said, you know what? I'm not going along with this anymore. He admitted to going along with the fear selling at first. And now he's going to be a fucking hero. He's going to be a hero to both the left and the right and the people that are sane on the right. Instead, these people are saying, oh, you know what? Short term, I'm going to win because Donald Trump is there and I don't want to get his ire on my campaign. Well, fucking take his ire. You're not going to lose, Lloyd. You're not going to lose. That's why I don't understand why he fillets him in public. Same with Scott Martin. They're both like Trumpers. I don't understand how and how it makes sense. And if Scott Martin comes out and says, I'm not a Trumper, you're fucking lying. Your silence speaks volumes. So that's what I was getting into on my last rant. Again, they're all on YouTube. I'm not on any platform anymore except YouTube and Twitch. And that's all I'm planning on being on from now on. So we're going to deal with the technical challenges, by the way. I'm waiting for this camera to die out so I can at least debug it. I have debug mode on in my streamer so that I can hopefully catch the error and fix it. I am in beta world with running Mac OS, and I did some updates to some software, which probably has caused some problems, and maybe I need to upgrade my camera card. But this rant is mostly for my technical, my first day on YouTube. I've got 10 viewers. I've got 60 followers. I'm not worried about, changing the trajectory of my podcast or live stream because of one day. But that was what I wanted to do, was talk about the chaos, talk about the tension, and I wanted to point out a couple what the fuck moments. But since this camera's working, I'm just going to keep going because I've got the energy for whatever reason, probably pure rage. But the frustration right now is really against the people that don't know any better, that maybe trust their leaders a little too much, that can't detach themselves and anchored themselves and their core beliefs to the Republican Party of today. And instead of talking about solutions for them, it's created more fear, more uncertainty, more doubt. I have a relative who sent me something that said we're being invaded by Hondurans. I have relatives who sent me stuff about the border, and I'm saying we live in fucking Lancaster. What the fuck are you talking about the border for? So, again, I love my family. I love my friends, despite the fact that I'm kind of a recluse these days. But I will say, I just don't understand how our leaders that are sane-minded, that we elected locally, that we see at the grocery store, we see in the street, they continue to ride this wave of Donald Trump. What is it about power that is so addicting? I mean, I've tried all the drugs, and there's some wonderful drugs and there's some horrible drugs. And this is going to definitely be banned from YouTube. And I say, no, don't do drugs, okay? But I don't know what kind of power that drug is. I don't know how addicting it is, but these people seem to really want it so much that they'll essentially put their tail between their legs and take orders from Donald Trump. And it makes no sense to me. I mean, Scott Martin's a big, strong guy. Good athlete, apparently, was superstar, state champ or some shit like that. And he's sitting there filleting Donald Trump. It's weird watching grown men like this be so submissive to this person. It's almost like they're subs in a weird dominatrix game, and Donald Trump's just their dom, and they're just fucking taking it. He wants to peg him, he pegs him. He does whatever he wants with them. They'll do it, and they're down with it. I've not seen them ever counter anything he says, and if they do, they shuffle it and push it down because they certainly don't want to lose the campaign contributions that come from being a Trump supporter. So I would love to do some policy discussions, as I said before, my rant before. My camera's still working magically, of course. But it's hard to talk about this stuff when you're fighting truth, when you're fighting for a baseline of reality, and you can't get to anything of substance because you've got to sift through all this bullshit. And that's by design. That's the thing that rages me the most. It's that they sat in a room and talked about this as a strategy. It's not like it's just coming about magically. Oh, wow, this is working. Hey, we need to pack our campaign coffers. Fear sells. This is coming from Representative Adam Kinzinger, who said, we talked about selling fear. I went along with it initially. Then I decided enough is enough. Thank God I did. Of course, the consequences came his way, just like Liz Cheney. But these are real men here. These are not going to be the footnotes. These are going to be the people that stood out. They're going to stand outside of their party. Everyone else, including the folks that I mentioned, Scott and all these other people, whether you're state or federal, you're going to be at the bottom saying, wow, these people, wait, that guy, he went along with it? That person too? Wait, I thought, his great-grandson's this person. He's this, by the way, your kids are all going to be very, very, very progressive because of your fucking shit. So that's the only thing that I see that's really good, is that your kids will grow up and they'll look back and they'll say, what the fuck was that? And if not, in their house when they get out and go to college, where they'll be re-indoctrinated by our liberal engine that indoctrinates your kids, then they'll come out and say, what the fuck are you doing, Dad? What the hell is that? What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? I don't know if Lloyd has any kids, by the way. I don't know if either of them have kids, but I do know, looking at them and watching their social media and reading their newsletters and reading the stuff that they push out there, they are aligned with Trump and they have not said one thing against him. And to me, this is cowardice. This is disqualifying. This is why they'll never, ever get my vote, and it's going to be hard-pressed to earn my respect. I don't think they give a fuck about my respect. They probably have no respect for me. But I will tell you this. I would stand alone in a party. If the whole party said, if Obama was a pedophile and the whole party said, we're going to support him, I'd be like, fuck that. No, I don't give a fuck. And I love Obama. Respect him and think but there's disqualifiers where I'm just like, enough is enough. Easy peasy. Not even a question. Yeah, I don't care. Oh, I'm not going to get reelected. Ooh wee. Okay, elect another buffoon. Well, then you can't get stuff done. Sometimes you got to play the game. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to play the game just to I'm not going to fillet myself or prostrate myself in front of somebody just to play the game and say, oh yeah, this moral stance that I have is no longer valid because I worship you. Fuck that. But that's what's happening right now. And it's so discouraging. You really need to, if you're a Republican and you have access to these folks, you need to ask them, what is it that they continue to do, support him? And they'll make up some bullshit. They're politicians. Or, you know what? I don't like it. I don't really like what he says. No, you don't. He doesn't have it. There's nothing there. There's been books. Well, those people are disgruntled. No, these are people that worked with him that he said were good people that then turn around and say, this man is nothing. There's no substance. He's crazy. He's wacko. He gives no shits. He doesn't understand things. He wings it all the time. He's worse than George Bush, going by your gut. George Bush was fucking Albert Einstein compared to Donald Trump, and George Bush wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. However, I would take Bush. Oh, God, I can't believe I'd take Bush over Trump any day. So, magically, my camera's working. It hasn't gone off. I don't know why. I don't know why the world starts to fuck with me like that, but maybe this will be the one that I edit. Although I had a good rant in the other one, so we'll be back. By the way, the only news I need to announce since I'm on here is I'm going to be doing this at an earlier time. I think I'm going to start doing it at 8 o'clock. So if you got this far and you went through the rigmarole of listening to both of these and you actually want to know what's going on with Smashing the Party, We've pulled all our stuff, my live streams from Facebook and Instagram. I'm not doing it. I don't care. People are going to have to go to my YouTube channel, which has a ton of videos. I'm going to do that, but we're going to also readjust our time because I know that folks on the West Coast probably get me around prime time, and I want to be where the people are at. And so I'm going to move this to 8 o'clock eventually. I don't know if it's going to be this week or the next week, but that's the plan. We're going to turn up the volume on YouTube. We're going to turn up the volume on our quality. We're going to get some automation. We're going to start snipping and snapping and putting reels out there and all that dumb shit that you got to do to keep people's attention, to drive them to my long form rants. And eventually we'll get our viewership up to, like I said, my goal, my sweet, sweet goal is to get 100 people. I'd love to get it by the end of the year. But if I can get 1,000 in 10 years, I'll be happy because that's enough. That's 1,000 people that are listening to me. And it's, to me, I mean, that's a lot. And there's no other time in the that existed where you could actually have that many people listening to the crazy thoughts of an angry black man, which is what I've become based on the current climate. All right, well, listen, my camera's suddenly working without pause, so I don't know what happened before. Maybe the gremlins got me. But today's day one of YouTube only, YouTube Twitch, I should say. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to close and wrap and go drink some water, feed myself, not going to go on Facebook, not going to go on Instagram, not going to look at what YouTube did to me with these two shitty ass performances. But my art is walking into a new realm. And so, of course, it's always difficult. And I'm going to get through those challenges. But I appreciate people that stick with it. I appreciate all the folks that listen. You know, I know there's some really loyal folks out there, and I really appreciate it. I need you guys to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I don't care what you got to do, but you're not going to get the content raw. If you like the live stream and you like watching me fuck up real time and say things that are stupid and there's no edits, you're going to have to come to YouTube to see that because these videos are no longer going to be distributed in their entirety on Instagram or Facebook. Last but not least, get out there, register, make sure you're registered, make sure you research the issues that are the ones that keep you stuck to the GOP. See if you can overlook some of those issues or you can find some balance by saying whether or not you want to keep this country in its current state or you want to continue to have chaos, turmoil, and tension rule the world with Donald Trump. That's all I got for you today, folks. This one might be a keeper. We'll see. Let's see if we can do a good outro. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, share on Facebook. Grab my Facebook. Grab a clip. You can make clips of stuff. You guys can help me out. You can actually make clips that are good. If you saw something that you thought was funny, make a clip. I don't give a fuck if you meme the shit out of me, but YouTube is the place where I'm going to be doing a lot of calls to action and asking for help. I hate asking for help, but I got to do it. So help me out and enjoy your day. I know I was feisty today, but by the way, no marijuana, no alcohol, no pharmaceuticals. This is pure raw Nate. So it's probably only going to get nastier. This is week 2 of that. So, I'm running on pure adrenaline pretty much without any vice to hold me back. I did the work, folks. I've done the work. I got to be proud of that. All right. Anyway, that's all I got today. Have a good one. And let's see if I can exit on something good and cool. Peace.